Being a single mum, it's hard to get ahead, and we do live from paycheck to paycheck. Every month can be a scramble for making ends meet. So what is your debating topic this time?
It's about how we should change the national anthem.
Rebecca Griffin was a casual lecturer at Melbourne University's medical school until COVID-19 struck.
The actual subject that I teach is communication skills around sensitive examinations for women. What about you, Emma? You did some writing today.
As a casual, she wasn't stood down or laid off. Her work simply stopped.
I've lost the work. I've lost the income. Yeah, I guess it was deflating to think, okay, well, my plans to try and do better this year are going to get on hold again. And then there was a little bit of worry about how I was going to just pay the bills. Can you point out for me which pieces look like...
Like thousands of other public university casuals, she's excluded from the government's JobKeeper wage subsidy. She's now getting by working part-time as a receptionist.
When the pandemic began, I think most of us knew that things would need to stop for a time. And since then, there's no news about when they'll start again.
The ban on foreign arrivals imposed at the start of the COVID crisis has slashed the number of overseas students, costing public universities billions in lost revenue.
Best estimates are that university revenue will fall by somewhere between $3 to $4 billion a year over the next 2 or 3 years.
Back in 1990, foreign student fees accounted for just 3% of public university income. But as federal funding for higher education was wound back, universities turned to foreign fee-paying students as a source of revenue. By 2000, foreign students were responsible for 10% of university income. A decade later, they accounted for almost 18%. 2 years ago, foreign students accounted for more than a quarter of all public university income.
Our funding for universities continues to grow at record levels. Now, obviously, there is still challenges when it comes to international students and then how they were cross-subsidising research in this country, and that's something that I've committed to work with the sector on over the coming months.
At the same time, the Morrison Government has announced the biggest shake-up of uni fees in more than a decade. Under the proposed changes, the cost of an arts degree will double, while the cost of teaching and science degrees will be slashed. The Education Minister says he's sending students a price signal about their job prospects.
We want to encourage them to look at those areas where we've put the discount, because we know that will help them get a job at the end of their degree.
It appears to be driven by, frankly, pure ideological hostility. It's very hard to see why art students should be paying almost 100% of the cost of their degree when almost no other kind of student does so.
Well, it's certainly not going to help us out of the budget hole. It will make...
ANU Vice-Chancellor Brian Schmidt believes the changes could backfire because more expensive arts degrees would actually be bigger earners for universities than cheaper science degrees.
So I would expect the same number of students wanting to go into science and the humanities as in the past. The difference is quite maybe non-intuitively. We get more money now in the humanities, less money in the sciences. I think the unintended consequence of this package is that it lowers the funding that a university gets for STEM. And so that disincentivizes us to invest in that and take lots and lots of students.
We're facing down a tsunami of course cuts, as well as having many of our lecturers sacked as well. We're really seeing the quality of our education pretty degraded.
The University of New South Wales, where Chauvin Bhattacharya studies, has already cut history and Indigenous studies courses this year.
40% of students at the moment are facing the scenario where their degrees are about to be more expensive, not less. And for some students, like art students, this could mean paying $50,000 for a degree. I think that this is really appalling and outrageous from Dan Tehan and Scott Morrison.
The employment market is going to be very different for graduates as they come out of university, and we've got to make sure that they've got the skills they need.
The government also wants to help struggling regional universities by offering students $5,000 access payments to study there.
We understand from the Minister's office that Deakin will be a little better off when this is fully implemented. Will that compensate for changes related to international student revenue? No. It will make a little bit of a difference, but it's certainly not going to remove the need for us having to make some of the most difficult and challenging decisions that this university's ever had to face. We've had to look very carefully at our people costs, and we are consulting on a program of change that would see a reduction in staff, if implemented, of about 300.
Higher education has become the nation's fourth highest export earner, but universities now face some very tough choices.
Obviously, none of us expected that this coronavirus pandemic would hit in this way, but we want to work with the sector to get them on a sustainable financial footing.
It's possible that we will see universities that essentially have to file for insolvency. I think that is very unlikely. Most universities are going to deal with the fact that they're just going to have to make a number of very difficult decisions.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.